A scenario for you. You're sitting at home, you've done a bit of research on some stocks and stock sectors that you think are going to be super hot over the coming year. Now, let's take the example of electric vehicles, EVs. You might have found a mad Chinese stock that's making a three-wheeler, self-flying, self-driving car of the future, and you want to put your money into them, but you think it's a bit risky, right? But you still think the EV sector as a whole is going to take off, but you still want exposure to that mad Chinese, EV stock. What can you do? Well, there is actually a way, and not many people think about doing this, and it actually lessens the risk and the exposure that you have to, say, that mad stock in the example. And in this video I'm going to take a look at how you can trade stocks in hot sectors while reducing your risk. Hello, I'm Stephen Ho, trader and founder of The Stock Hunter. Firstly, a quick risk warning. The content in this video isn't investment advice, and you should always seek professional guidance and help, such as qualified financial advisors, before committing any of your hard-earned cash. And remember that investing and trading is a very risky business and your money is at risk. So with that quick warning on risk, let's get into the detail. The simple answer to this question is to use something called ETFs, and that stands for exchange traded funds, and they can be traded like stocks around the world and in very particular specific categories and sectors. Now, if you can't get exposure to ETFs directly, you can use derivative products of ETFs such as CFDs and spread betting, and we're going to look into a bit more of those options later. But that was the simple answer, but it's a bit more detail and things you need to know than just that, and we're going to look at that now. But first of all, what in a bit more detail is an ETF? So what is an ETF? Well, it's a bit like a stock, but imagine it being a basket of stocks on a particular asset, commodity, focusing on a certain sector or idea, all bundled together that you can trade or invest in just like an ordinary stock. You don't own the individual stocks, and these ETFs can be quite tax efficient. They trade regular market hours and are bought and sold just like regular stocks on a stock exchange. And there's many different types: bonds, commodities, but we're focusing here on stocks. So who are they for? Well, they can be for both the short-term trader and the long-term investor who want to get that specific exposure to a basket of whatever that they're interested in. And it's normally by doing this, using ETFs at a lot lower cost to, say, like buying the individual stock separately. I suppose the downside is that because you're diversifying across a specific sector or basket, your returns, compared to if you were individually investing in one stock, will probably be lower on average. But the downside is also its strength because of the spreading of the exposure across a basket of whatever. In theory, you're lessening your risk to that individual stock or one or two stocks that you might have in your portfolio. It must be said though that if you get the right sector or basket or whatever ETF it is, then the returns can be quite significant and quite substantial. So in my mind, you've sort of taken away an edge of the risk, but the returns are still quite, possibly, substantial. So why should you be interested in ETFs? Well, because those big investment funds are always creating new ETFs to give you exposure into a very specific, very often new area, niche, that can get you a great return. So why not? You know, sectors such as EVs, cannabis, cryptos, you know, AI, cybersecurity, take your pick. They're all there for you. So if you think you're, you know, bullish on the EV sector, instead of putting all your chips on, say, Tesla, you can expose yourself more to the performance of that sector as a whole, because your point of view is that you think generally it's all great there, but you can't afford to buy the individual stocks. Then why not invest or trade the ETF? So how can you trade these ETFs? Well, I would say you would trade them exactly the same way as you would any other stock, commodity, forex, currency pair. You know, use the technical analysis, use the fundamentals, use the strategies that you have devised. You know, back test them, test them out, see if they work. But looking at the behavior of these instruments, they behave exactly the same way, so make them part of your trading plan. And there's a lot of information and analysis out there on the ETF sector, so use that and build that into finding the right ETFs for you to trade and invest in. So I'm going to go through a couple of examples of actual trading investing platforms that you could get your hands on to find these ETFs. Now the first one is called Webull, and they are a US stock broker. So if in the States, this one could be for you, but it's typical of most of the brokers out there. I've got an account here, so I just wanted to take you through, just show you what is available. Again, if you're interested in Webull, I'll put a link in the description below this video. But we can see on the screen now we've got a standard setup on the thing, and we want to go and find our ETF. So this is a home page I've got set up. Down the bottom it says most popular ETFs, so I click on them and I click on all, and it's going to bring me a big list of different ones available. You can see there's energy, biotech, oil, pharmaceuticals, metals and mining. They are all in here. You know, cryptos, cannabis, the lot. Now if you want to find a particular one, we could, for example, find an EV one. Type in the ticker in the top corner, and we've got here a one from iShares, which is a self-driving EV and EV stock basket. And as you can see, the actual share price, stock price of this ETF has been going up very nicely. So you can see how you can get, you know, great exposure to EV stocks and self-driving stocks just by this ETF, traded, invested in like any other stock. So let's just try another. Let's see if there's any other available. And actually you can see below that one there is actually a Global X ETF, Chinese electric vehicles. So there you go. We're talking about my mad example right at the start of this video. You want to get exposure to Chinese electric vehicle stocks? There you go. There it is. And look at the chart price. You know, it's been trending up nicely for a while now. So simple way to get into trading sectors, hot sectors, very easily. And this is, like I said, using Webull. Easy to set up, easy to get into, and off you go. Now second up, I'm going to look at, you know, if you can't access, you know, these ETFs specifically because of, you know, geography, you know, regulation, then there are other products like CFDs and spread betting. I'm just going to take you through an example now. So here is a CFD / spread betting broker. It's called City Index. They're a UK company, but they function all over the world and outside of America, because you can't trade CFDs and spread bets in America. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to find out more about them. But really, it's typical of any such broker and the offerings that they give. And I just wanted to really show you the ETFs they offer. You can see down on the left hand side the ETFs button. to go along with all the other sectors that you could possibly trade and invest in. And here they offer quite a lot of different ETFs. You've got UK ones, North Americans, Europeans, Asians, volatility, commodities. So say you're interested in commodities, click on there. What do they offer? If they grayed out, they're currently not trading at the moment because the markets are closed, but you've got crude oil, gold, silver, sugar, gold producers, all sorts of different markets there for you to get into. But we were interested in the electric vehicles to start with, so let's see if they offer a electric vehicle ETF. So in the search bar up the top we type electric vehicles ETF, see what they offer, and if you scroll down the search bar, there you go, they've got iShares, electric vehicles and driving technology ETF, and we can see there's a recent price been going up quite nicely. We can add that to a new workspace and then analyze it further, but that's just to show you that these ETFs, if you can't get exposure access via the traditional methods via a stockbroker, then they are there using CFD spread betting brokers. So I think ETFs are a great investment and trading tool, both for the long and the short term, down to your strategy, how you play it. But they do offer you exposure to potentially baskets of sectors and markets you couldn't normally get your hands on, or if you could, you had to put it together by buying or selling lots of individual stocks at vast cost. So ETFs, I think, great tool to consider. Let me know in the comments below if you trade and invest in ETFs, and what ones do you trade and invest in. I'd like to hear from you. Now, if you liked today's video, please give us the thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell buttons to receive further notification of content such as this that I will produce in the future. So all that's left for me to say is thanks for watching, good luck with the trading, and I'll see you in the next video.